Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Corner. This is our space for deep reflections and soul nurturing conversations. Here, we are going to sip our favorite cup of coffee, reflect, and explore the thought patterns, habits, and truths that bring us closer to our most intentional and authentic selves. Welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so excited for you to join us on this journey. First, take a sip of coffee. Second, I feel like now that I'm in the lighting, the lip combo that I chose is like giving me a little ashy, but I don't know. We just gonna have to push through the video like this, okay? But welcome back. And if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. I want you to grab your favorite cup of coffee, get comfortable, settle in, because we are going to have a heart-to-heart about what will guide us all toward a more intentional lifestyle. Once a month, I really want to make a habit of ensuring that we have a moment to just connect and catch up. I don't want this series or my channel to feel like I'm just talking at you every single episode. I want to feel like we are getting to know each other and you are getting to know more and more about me with each episode. Okay, so first, let's talk about last month. Girl, that's all I really can say. I feel like January really rocked a lot of us off our center. Like, it rocked us to our core. But we're here. We made it. And I know for me, January had felt a little chaotic. So I wanted to take a little time in today's video to just reflect on how the month shaped up and how I'm working toward refining my approach for the month of February. Things I'm gonna do differently, things I'm planning to shift. But before we get into all of that and we start yapping, I have something that I am really, really excited about that I want to touch on a little bit and talk about and share with you all. And that is the rebrand of my blog and my newsletter, which is now called The Edit. This rebrand, and I don't know if I really want to call it a rebrand, it's just like a renaming. It's been a long time coming. I've thought about this for a really, really long time, literally for months, just sitting and brainstorming about what am I going to talk about? What am I going to call it? In the beginning, I thought that it was going to be something very Sunday specific. I was toying with the names of like Sunday and Divine and all those things. And I was like, no, like it has to encompass and embody everything as far as the content that I create that is long form written content. My goal really was to just get away from and move away from more generic terms like the blog or the newsletter. I don't know. Every time I would say it, like subscribe to my blog or subscribe to my newsletter, it was just giving cringe. Like I felt like I've been using those terms for so long. I started to outgrow them. And personally, I feel like my blog and my newsletter reflect so much more. The edit for me isn't just about naming conventions or a name change. It's a reflection of my commitment to curating a life and content that is rooted in intention and purpose. I thought about it and I just came up with the fact that life can feel so chaotic at times, right? Like there's all this noise, there's all this chaos, and we're constantly bombarded with the noise and the chaos. And it's easy for us to lose sight of what truly matters to us, the things that feel most meaningful. And the edit is about quieting the noise, refining life, focusing on what truly matters, all the things that are meaningful, intentional, and purposeful. This space called The Edit is something that I designed to feel like a pause from the noise and a pause from the chaos. It's where I will continue to share my thoughts, and those thoughts will focus primarily on intentionality, truth, love, design, motherhood, and everything in between. The content really isn't changing. It's just the purpose and intention behind it that is taking a little shift. All of it is meant to inspire you to live with clarity and intention and curate your most well-lived life. This journey and this shift is also about my continued commitment to building community. I want this to be a space where we all embrace the beauty of living with intention and being thoughtful, just one edit at a time. Oh, if you aren't already subscribed to The Edit, I highly recommend it. Again, The Edit is my blog and my newsletter. I will link it below. February is going to be a really exciting month for The Edit. February is going to be all things love. We're going to talk about love in a platonic way, romantic way, friendships, family, creativity, and of course, most importantly, self-love. I'm also going to talk about the role that love plays in our creativity and self-expression. I'm really excited about February, and I can't wait to share The Edit with all of you guys. I'm trying something different. I'm really excited. Typically, I publish one newsletter a month, and it's just like one and done, and I may filter a few out throughout the month if I have something to talk about. But now there's intention rooted behind it, and so I'm going to be publishing a series of newsletters to focus on one specific topic throughout the month, and February is coming in with a bang. I'm so excited. Again, I'm going to link The Edit and how you subscribe below, and I hope that you all join me this month. So back to it. Now, let's talk about girlfriend, Miss January. It was a month between the chaos of the world, everything that is going on around us, and just personal shifts and changes. So even in all of the mess and the chaos, there were a lot of lessons, but there were also some wins too. And I want to be sure that I am being intentional about celebrating the wins and not just focusing on the things that went wrong. So first up, let's get into these wins. My first win was really just choosing to consistently show up, whether that be creating content, focusing on my own personal growth and development, or even just small daily habits. I feel like I made a real effort in January to show up, even on the days where I wasn't feeling 100% like myself. I still committed to a lot. And you know what? Like, thinking back on that, it really made a difference in just how I felt about myself, how I felt about the chaos going on in the world. The one thing that kept coming to mind is I'm showing up, and that's what matters. The lesson in this win for me was really just progress doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be consistent. My second win is taking the time to refine my priorities. January for me was a month for getting really clear on what matters. Clarity was really important to me. I let go a lot of the pressure that I felt to be everywhere, do everything, be everything for everyone, and trying to meet unrealistic expectations. Spoiler alert in that, we do not have to do it all to be successful. And that is one thing that I kept reminding myself of throughout this month. If you want to go far, if you want to be successful, you have to have some level of stability, foundation. You have to be grounded, and you cannot force yourself to be too many things for too many people or in too many spaces at once. Really, the lesson for me and refining my priorities this month was really, or last month, was really about just focusing on what truly moves the needle forward, and everything else outside of that is just noise. For me, the third win in January was trusting my intuition a lot more. I've been leaning into myself way more in these last several weeks, really trusting and focusing on what my gut is telling me. My gut feelings have never failed me, and I've been leaning into that so much more. I've been just trusting in my creative ideas, the visions that I get. If I'm lying in bed at night and I get a spark, writing that down and trusting my gut that it's going to lead me to somewhere that is purposeful and meant for me. It's easy to overthink everything, especially for me. I constantly live in my head. It is incredibly easy for us to overthink things. But sometimes we really just need to listen to what our intuition is telling us, listen to our gut. And a lot of the times when we listen to ourselves, we already know the answer deep down within. You know, there's no need to seek outside validation for what we already know. The lesson in learning to trust my gut more is just reminding myself that I already have the answers. And I really just need to move forward, push forward with the answers that I know to be true and stop doubting myself. Let's talk about what didn't work last month. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. Let's keep it real. Not everything about January was a win. Some things just straight up did not work well for me, didn't work out, and I'm learning to own that. I'm very much sitting in that truth and owning that truth, and that is my hope for you, that regardless of what didn't go as planned, what didn't work out for you, that you're comfortable with owning that so you can determine what didn't work and how you're going to refine and continue to push forward in the coming months. So, struggle number one in February was really spreading myself too thin. And I feel like it's a little counterproductive from one of my wins, but let me explain. Even though I know better, and I talk about this a lot, I still fell into that trap of trying to do too much at once. Between work, creating, and content, my personal life, I really feel like I was a little bit overcommitted this month or this past month than I really wanted to be. And there were some days, honestly, where I felt like I was running on fumes. And I think a big bulk of those feelings were just coming out of the holiday season. Like, we're fresh out of Christmas, we're fresh out of New Year's, and then we got to jump back into reality, get back to work. Like, there was still so much going on. Y'all, I didn't take down my Christmas tree until like Jan week 3. It was actually insane. Like, I'm giving myself grace, but I know what it felt like this past month. I started January, super enthusiastic, super empowered to create. And I think we talked about it a little bit here, but that energy, it just fizzled really quickly for me because I was stretched further than I wanted to be or needed to be. And it all happened a little too soon in the year. My fix for February to challenge this or tackle this is to just be more intentional about planning, being more intentional about setting boundaries, whether that's setting boundaries with others and even with myself. And also continuing to remind myself and everyone else that my no is a complete sentence. And I ain't got to explain that. We ain't even going to go into that because I ain't explaining nothing. No is a no. So my second struggle this month was overthinking my content. And we can come back to this in March. I'm working on it. I am working on it, but it is a process. Sometimes I get so caught up in how I want something to be perceived that I forget to just create. And I know I'm not the only one that struggles with experiencing this. I've realized that the more that I try to perfect things or control the outcome of how things look, the less fun it is. I stop having fun with it, and then I get deterred from, creating. My February fix for this is to overthink less. It sounds a little daunting, but I want to overthink less and create more. I want to share what feels authentic, organic, and real. And I really want to start prioritizing capturing those random, more candid moments. Those that in the moment feeling where, I'm not feeling like I got to be glammed up or everything has to be perfect around me in order for me to capture this moment. And I want to do so without feeling the pressure to make everything look perfectly curated. That is my goal, and I'm sticking to it. Third struggle, finally, is neglecting my own joy. And I know y'all are probably looking at me like, this is the queen of talking about prioritizing yourself and prioritizing your joy and your happiness and living your most well-lived life. I get it, I know. But Players Cup 2, okay? I'm right here with you. I'm on this journey with you. Nothing about my journey and my path to personal growth and being intentional is perfect. It is not linear. I'm gonna fall off track sometimes, but I'm gonna get right back to it. While January for me was incredibly productive, was it joyful? And I keep asking myself that. While you had a lot of productivity, a lot of things move forward, did you feel any joy? Meh. I feel like throughout the month, I was very focused, maybe a little too focused on results and not enough on just being present and being in the moment. My fix for this in February is making more time for the things that bring me joy and doing so without apologizing for it. That means being intentional about slower mornings, more reading, more listening to my favorite music, more baking, just, spending time with my family and cultivating more joy. And the best way to do that, and really the only way to do that, is to be present and being intentional in the moment. So, what is our plan for February? It's all about evolving and refining. Here is how we are going to approach February. And by we, I mean me, but me, I also mean us. So, intentional planning, setting clear boundaries and priorities, so that we're focusing on avoiding burnout. 2, we are creating with joy and cultivating more happiness. That means letting go of perfection and focusing on what feels authentic and joyful. 3rd and lastly is prioritizing joy. There's that word again. And I love that we're hearing that word a lot. This month, we want to be intentional about creating space for the things that light us up, the things that make us happy, the things that make us bolt over in laughter, whether it is a quiet morning, going to a library, or going to a Barnes and Nobles and picking out your favorite book, experimenting with a new recipe, I don't know, packing up and going to Disneyland. Of course, in this economy, not everybody is able, but we have thought about it. We have thought about randomly just packing up and going to Disneyland one weekend. And I feel like at some point we're really going to work to make that happen, because who doesn't love Disneyland? When is Disneyland ever not fun? I'll report back on that if we ever made it. January taught me a lot that I am incredibly grateful for. It taught me a lot about consistency, the importance of priorities, and just trusting myself a lot more. But it also reminded me that I cannot pour from an empty cup. We talked about this in our last video. February for me is all about refining, resetting, and making space for the things that matter. So here is my question that I'm going to leave you with this week. What is one thing that you are refining and resetting this month? Let me know in the comments. I would absolutely love to hear from you. You know, I love to always hear how things are evolving and shaping up for you guys. So please leave a comment. Let me know. If you don't feel like talking about it in the comments and you're a little embarrassed to share it publicly, find me on socials, send me a private message. I would love to hear from you and talk about it with you. And of course, don't forget to check out the edit. I feel like this month we are going to have a lot of content in the edit that is going to help us prioritize love, whether that be the love that we have for ourselves, the love that we have for creativity, or the love that we have for people around us. Love is the one thing that keeps us rooted and grounded in our priorities. It helps us to set boundaries, and it really helps us to prioritize the things that matter. So don't forget to check out the edit. Again, I will link everything below. And yeah, thank you all for hanging out with me today. Let's make February a month that matters. I want to thank you all for spending time with me here on the Coffee Corner. When I tell you this is my favorite place to be here with y'all, I absolutely mean that. If this video resonated with you, of course, I want you to like, subscribe, and share. Send it to a bestie who you feel it may resonate with too. And I'll see you all in the next video. Same time, same vibes, and same intentional conversations. Until then, take care of yourselves. I'll see you all soon.